The last week of September is not just a date on the calendar. It is a threshold, a turning point, a reminder that time does not wait for anyone. Congratulations, because if you hear this message right now, it means life is calling you to awareness, discipline, and transformation. Every ending carries within it the seed of a new beginning, and the final week of September asks you, are you ready to step beyond your limitations and into your true potential? Awareness of the critical moment is the beginning of all transformation. And when you stand in the last week of September, you are not standing in just another 7 days. You are standing at the edge of time itself. And the way you choose to see this edge determines how you will step into the future. Most people move through their days as if they have an endless supply. They think tomorrow will always be there, that another chance will always arrive, that another week will always appear on the horizon. But wisdom tells us the truth. Every week that ends is gone forever. Every day that passes is never returning. And so the question is, how do you treat the days that remain? If you treat them casually, life will treat you casually in return. But if you treat them as sacred, if you treat them as critical, then life itself will open a new path for you. To be aware of the critical moment means to look at time with reverence, to recognize that a single day has within it the potential to redirect your entire life. And when you become aware of this, you no longer take mornings lightly. You no longer let hours slip away unnoticed. You no longer go to bed wondering where the day went. Instead, you wake up with clarity and sleep with peace. When the last week of September arrives, it carries a certain energy, an urgency, because it whispers to you that the month is closing, that the year itself is in motion, and that your life is not standing still. Awareness means listening to that whisper instead of drowning it in distraction. How many people waste these days thinking it's just another week? But those who live consciously ask, what can I do with these days to end this chapter with strength? The awareness of the critical moment is like standing before a door you can walk through unconsciously, barely noticing where you are going, or you can pause, realize that the door is a transition, and step through it with intention. Life is full of such doors, but most people are sleepwalking, unaware that they are crossing thresholds every day. The end of September is one such threshold, and awareness means that you do not cross it blindly. When you are aware, you begin to feel the weight of each action. You begin to see that the way you live the final days of something determines how you carry yourself into the beginning of the next. If you end with carelessness, you enter the next stage with scattered energy. But if you end with awareness, you enter the next stage with clarity. This is why martial arts, meditation, and mindful living always emphasize presence. Because presence is not something you only practice when it is easy. It is something you practice especially in the moments that seem ordinary. The last week of September might seem ordinary on the surface, just another set of days, but when you are aware, you recognize its power. These days are like the final brushstrokes on a painting. They are what complete the picture of the month, and they determine how others and how you yourself will remember it. Awareness of the critical moment means you no longer wait for someday. You understand that someday is a lie that steals your life away. You stop telling yourself, I'll start next month, I'll try later, I'll improve when I have time. No, awareness teaches you that the only time you ever truly have is now, this week, this day, this hour. If you waste this one, you waste the only life you are given. People often wait for a crisis to wake up. They wait for sickness, for loss, for hardship to remind them that life is fragile. But the wise do not wait for pain to teach them what awareness could have shown them long ago. The last week of September is not a crisis. It is an opportunity, but only if you are awake enough to see it. Think of the river. The river flows constantly, and if you place your hand in the water, The drop that touches your palm is already gone. You cannot grasp it, you cannot hold it. And yet people live as though they can stop time, as though life will wait for them. Awareness of the critical moment means realizing that time is the river, and every week is a current that carries you forward. You cannot go back, but you can learn to flow with it. You can learn to place yourself in harmony with the current instead of fighting against it or ignoring it. The last week of September is such a current, and your awareness is the boat. Without awareness, the current drags you unconsciously. With awareness, you learn how to steer. Awareness is not only about time, it is also about self. To become aware of the critical moment means you turn inward and ask, who am I in this moment? What state of mind do I carry as this month ends? Am I satisfied with how I have lived these days? Or am I drifting? Awareness is the light that reveals the truth about yourself. Without awareness, you live in shadows, repeating patterns without understanding why. With awareness, you catch yourself in the act of wasting time, in the act of procrastination, in the act of self-sabotage. This week is critical because it gives you a chance to see clearly, to reflect, and to adjust. The truth is, 1 week is enough to change direction. 1 week is enough to realign with your values. 1 week is enough to begin again. When you walk with awareness, every step becomes sacred. You realize that when you wake up in the morning, it is not just another day, it is a gift. You realize that when you speak, your words shape reality. You realize that when you act, your actions plant seeds for the future. The last week of September is a reminder of this sacredness. It is as if life is whispering to you, be awake now. Do not let this ending slip through your fingers unnoticed. Imagine if you lived each week with this kind of awareness. What kind of power would you unlock? You would stop drifting through life, and you would start navigating it with precision. You would stop reacting blindly, and you would start choosing wisely. You would stop wasting time, and you would start creating meaning. Awareness of the critical moment also means learning from nature. Look at the seasons. September is a month of transition, a bridge between summer and autumn. Nature itself is aware of the critical moment. It does not rush blindly. It prepares, it shifts, it adapts. Leaves begin to turn, the air begins to change, and life prepares for a new cycle. In the same way, awareness teaches you to prepare, to shift, to adapt. If nature honors its cycles with awareness, why should you treat yours with carelessness? The last week of September is your autumn threshold, and just as the trees release their leaves to prepare for what is to come, so too must you release what no longer serves you and carry forward only what strengthens you. The danger of lacking awareness is that you fall into habits of unconscious living. You wake up, you work, you eat, you sleep, and before you know it, another month has vanished. Awareness shatters this cycle. It shakes you awake. It forces you to see that life is not measured by how many months pass, but by how deeply you live the days within them. The last week of September can be ordinary or extraordinary. The choice is yours, and the difference lies only in whether you are aware of its significance. Awareness transforms repetition into ritual. It transforms habit into intention. It transforms time into opportunity. This is why in martial arts training, every movement is done with awareness. Even the simplest bow, the simplest step, is carried out with mindfulness. Why? Because the small things reflect the big things. If you are careless with a step, you will be careless with your life. If you are aware in a step, you will be aware in your life. In the same way, if you are careless in this last week, you will carry carelessness into the next month. But if you are aware in this last week, you will carry awareness into all that follows. The small reflects the great, and the end reflects the beginning. So congratulations, because if you hear this, it means you have been given awareness. Awareness is already the first victory. Most people never receive it. They live blind, they live numb. They live as though time is endless. But you, right now, have been given the gift of seeing the critical moment for what it is. Do not take this lightly. Do not let it slip away. Use it. Ask yourself, how can I live these days differently? How can I close this month in a way that brings me peace, in a way that brings me strength? The answer is not found in grand achievements. It is found in simple awareness. Wake up with gratitude, act with focus, speak with kindness, reflect with honesty, and you will see how this week becomes the most critical, the most powerful, the most transformative of all. Awareness of the critical moment is the root of mastery. It is not about controlling time, it is about respecting it. It is not about forcing life, it is about flowing with it. The last week of September is your teacher. It teaches you urgency without panic, pressure without fear, and endings without despair. It teaches you that every closing is also an opening. Every last day is also the first day of something new. If you live this week with awareness, you will not only end September well, you will carry its lessons into every future moment, and your life will no longer be a blur of lost weeks. It will be a masterpiece of lived awareness. So walk with awareness now, for this is your critical moment. Discipline over distraction is one of the most important lessons that life will ever teach you, because the truth is that distraction is not just around you, it is inside you. The mind itself is restless, always chasing, always searching, always wandering, and if you do not learn to master it, it will master you. In the last week of September, when life demands focus, when life demands clarity, the greatest test is not what others do around you. It is not the conditions of the world. It is whether you can choose discipline over distraction. Most people imagine discipline as something heavy, something harsh, a punishment. But this is not true. Discipline is not chains. Discipline is freedom. Discipline is the key that allows you to direct your energy where it belongs. Without discipline, your energy is scattered, pulled in every direction by distraction, and you lose yourself. With discipline, your energy becomes a laser, powerful enough to cut through the noise, powerful enough to create, powerful enough to transform. Distraction will always appear more tempting, more comfortable, more entertaining. It whispers to you, just one more scroll, just one more break, just one more delay. It tells you that you have time, that you can do it later, that the critical moment is not now. And yet, later never arrives, because tomorrow becomes another tomorrow, and you realize years have passed without you truly living them. Discipline is the voice that counters this illusion. It says, not later now, not tomorrow today, not someday, this day. And when you learn to follow that voice, you gain mastery. The danger of distraction is that it does not announce itself as danger. It arrives disguised as comfort, disguised as harmless, disguised as relaxation. And little by little, it steals from you the hours, the weeks, the years. Discipline sees through this disguise. Discipline knows that comfort without purpose becomes weakness, that distraction without awareness becomes a prison. Discipline keeps you awake. It reminds you that your time is precious, that the last week of September is not to be wasted in forgetfulness, but to be lived in sharpness. When you think of discipline, do not imagine harsh control or rigidity. Imagine alignment. Imagine a river flowing powerfully in one direction. Discipline is simply energy aligned with intention. If you say, I want to close this month with strength, but you allow yourself to be consumed by distractions, then your energy is scattered. Your words mean nothing. But if you align your actions with your intention, every hour becomes meaningful. To practice discipline is to bring harmony between what you think, what you say, and what you do. The undisciplined live in contradiction. They dream of strength but act in weakness. They desire progress but waste time in delay. The disciplined live in harmony. They dream of strength and act with strength. They desire progress and move toward progress. This harmony creates peace because nothing drains a human being more than living in contradiction with themselves. Distraction pulls you outward, discipline pulls you inward. Distraction scatters you into fragments, discipline gathers you into one. When you are distracted, your mind is not here. It is pulled into the past, into the future, into comparison, into noise. You live everywhere except in this moment. But when you are disciplined, you reclaim your presence. You say, "This moment is mine. This hour is mine. This last week is mine." And suddenly, you discover the power that has been within you all along. The distracted one lives as if powerless, at the mercy of every impulse, at the mercy of every noise. The disciplined one lives with mastery, because they are no longer ruled by impulse, no longer shaken by every sound, no longer swayed by every desire. Discipline over distraction is not something you practice once, it is a daily choice. Every morning, you are faced with the same decision. Will I let distraction control me today, or will I live with discipline? And the truth is, the choice is never easy, because distraction always appears attractive. It appears easier to stay in bed, easier to postpone, easier to entertain yourself. But what is easy now becomes difficult later, and what is difficult now becomes easy later. Discipline is difficult in the moment, but it makes life easier in the long run. Distraction is easy in the moment, but it makes life heavier in the long run. The wise understand this trade, and they choose discipline. When you train in martial arts, discipline is not about fighting others, it is about conquering yourself. Every punch, every kick, every movement is repeated again and again, not because it is exciting, not because it is entertaining, but because it is necessary. Repetition is discipline, and that same lesson applies to life. You do not need new distractions, you need deep practice. You do not need to be entertained, you need to be aligned. You do not need to chase what is easy, you need to strengthen what is lasting. In the last week of September, discipline is not about doing everything, it is about doing the right things. It is about focusing on what matters, about sharpening the sword instead of swinging it blindly. Distraction creates weakness because it divides your attention. Imagine a warrior entering battle, but instead of holding one sword with both hands, he tries to hold 10 weapons at once. His strength is scattered, his focus is gone, and he is defeated before the battle even begins. This is what distraction does. It fills your hands with too many things until you hold nothing well. Discipline teaches you to carry only what matters, to hold the sword with both hands, to focus your strength where it counts. This is why great masters always say less is more. To live with discipline is to do less but deeper, to focus on fewer things but with greater intensity. The enemy of discipline is not failure, it is comfort. Failure can teach you. Failure can wake you. Failure can strengthen you. But comfort lulls you into sleep. Comfort tells you that you do not need to try, that you can stay as you are, that you can relax while life passes by. And so, discipline becomes the art of stepping beyond comfort. It does not mean rejecting all comfort. It means not being controlled by it. It means you can choose effort over ease when effort is required. It means you can choose silence over noise when silence is necessary. It means you can choose focus over distraction when focus is demanded. And in this last week of September, focus is demanded. Life is asking you, can you finish with strength? Can you remain aligned? Can you hold yourself steady when everything around you pulls your attention away? To live with discipline is to create structure in a world of chaos. Distraction is chaos. It is noise. It is movement without direction. Discipline is structure. It is clarity. It is movement with purpose. Think of the body. If every muscle pulled in different directions without discipline, the body could not move. But because there is alignment, because there is discipline in the system, the body moves with grace. In the same way, when your thoughts and actions are scattered by distraction, you cannot progress. But when they are disciplined, when they move as one, you move forward with power. The last week of September is critical because it will reveal your relationship with discipline. Are you someone who gives in to every distraction, or are you someone who stands firm? When you wake up, do you command your day, or does your day command you? When you sit to work, do you hold your focus, or do you allow every sound, every notification, every impulse to pull you away? These questions are not small. They are the difference between living a scattered life and living a purposeful one. And the truth is, every great achievement, every deep transformation, every moment of mastery comes not from distraction, but from discipline. So understand, this discipline is not the enemy of freedom, it is the foundation of freedom. Without discipline, you are a slave to your distractions. With discipline, you are free to create, free to focus, free to become. Without discipline, the last week of September passes in a blur, lost to distractions that mean nothing. With discipline, the last week of September becomes a stepping stone, a powerful ending, a conscious beginning. Without discipline, you reach October weaker than before. With discipline, you step into October stronger than ever. And so the question is simple. Which path will you choose? Discipline or distraction? Awareness alone is not enough. It must be followed by disciplined action. And disciplined action does not come from force. It comes from clarity. Remember why you choose discipline. Remember that your time is short, that your energy is precious, that your life is not endless. Remember that distraction offers you nothing but regret, while discipline offers you growth. Remember that every time you choose discipline in the small moments, you strengthen your ability to remain disciplined in the big ones. Remember that every choice shapes who you are becoming. Discipline over distraction is not just a principle for this week, it is a principle for life. But life is teaching it to you right now, in these critical days, because the universe always places before you the lesson you most need. If you hear this, congratulations, because you have been reminded of the truth. You know what must be done. You know that discipline is your ally. You know that distraction is the thief. And now the choice is yours. Close this week with discipline, and you will not only end September with power, you will carry that power into everything that comes next. So choose wisely. Choose discipline. Transformation through pressure is one of the oldest truths in existence, and yet one of the most often resisted by human beings. We all want to grow, we all want to evolve, we all want to become something more than what we are today. But when the pressure arrives, when life begins to squeeze us, when circumstances feel heavy, our first instinct is to escape. But if you look deeply into nature, if you look deeply into yourself, you will realize that nothing of true value is created without pressure. The diamond is born from pressure. The seed breaks open under the pressure of the soil. The warrior is forged under the pressure of training. And the spirit of a human being is shaped under the pressure of life itself. The last week of September is critical not because it is comfortable, but because it is a moment of pressure. It presses upon you with urgency, with the weight of time, with the demand for choice, and this pressure is not your enemy. It is your invitation to transform. Most people misunderstand pressure. They see it only as difficulty, as a burden, as something to run from. But the wise understand that pressure is the very condition required for change. Without pressure, the seed would never grow. It would remain asleep inside the soil forever. Without pressure, the muscles would never grow. They would remain weak and unused. Without pressure, the mind would never sharpen. It would remain dull and distracted. The last week of September brings pressure because life knows you are ready for it. Life knows that growth is calling you, that you cannot remain as you were, and so it applies the weight that will awaken you. Transformation never comes through ease, it comes through resistance. And resistance is not punishment, it is preparation. When you are under pressure, you are forced to see what is truly inside you. Distraction and pretense fall away because pressure reveals. A person may speak of discipline when life is easy, but under pressure, you will see whether discipline is truly present. A person may speak of strength, but under pressure, you will see whether strength is truly there. A person may speak of patience, but under pressure, you will see whether patience is truly practiced. Pressure is the mirror that shows you the truth. And although this truth can be uncomfortable, it is also the key to transformation, because you cannot change what you do not see. When the last week of September applies its pressure, it reveals where you stand, and in that revelation lies the chance to evolve. Pressure sharpens focus. When time is short, you realize what really matters. The distractions that once seemed so urgent suddenly lose their grip, because pressure teaches you the value of the essential. Think of a student facing an exam. In the weeks before, they may waste hours, but on the final night, pressure focuses them completely. The same is true in life. The last week of September is your final exam for the month, and the pressure it brings forces you to concentrate, to stop scattering your energy, to commit fully. If you run from this pressure, you run from growth. If you embrace it, you discover capacities within yourself that you never knew were there. Transformation is not comfortable. It is not meant to be. The caterpillar does not become the butterfly by staying as it is. It must endure the pressure of the cocoon, the confinement, the struggle, the breaking, and only then does it emerge with wings. In the same way, when life places you in a cocoon of pressure, it is not to harm you, but to prepare you for flight. The last week of September may feel heavy, it may feel urgent, but within this pressure lies your wings. Do not curse the cocoon, thank it. Do not resist the struggle, embrace it. For it is only through this struggle that your transformation becomes possible. Many people look at pressure and see only limitation, but the wise look at pressure and see opportunity. When the weight presses down, it is pressing you into shape. When the challenges surround you, they are shaping your endurance. When the deadlines approach, they are teaching you urgency. When the responsibilities grow, they are expanding your capacity. Life applies pressure only when you are ready to grow beyond your current form. If you are comfortable, you are not growing. If you are under pressure, congratulations, because life has judged you ready for transformation. The danger is not pressure itself. The danger is how you respond to it. If you resist it, if you complain, if you collapse, then the pressure crushes you. But if you accept it, if you endure it, if you learn from it, then the pressure transforms you. The same heat that melts wax hardens clay. The same pressure that breaks stone creates diamonds. The difference is in how you respond. And so the last week of September asks you, will you allow this pressure to break you, or will you allow it to make you? The choice is yours. Pressure is also the teacher of humility. Under pressure, you realize that you are not invincible, that you must prepare, that you must strengthen yourself. Pressure removes arrogance and replaces it with discipline. Pressure removes laziness and replaces it with urgency. Pressure removes weakness and replaces it with resilience. Every great master, every great leader, every great soul has walked through the fire of pressure. None escaped it because it is the only path to greatness. When you feel the weight of this last week pressing upon you, remember you are walking the same path as all who have transformed before you. Do not wait for life to remove the pressure. Do not hope for ease. Instead, ask for the strength to endure. Ask for the clarity to learn. Ask for the resilience to rise. This is the mindset of transformation. The warrior does not wish for an easy battle. He wishes for strength equal to the challenge. The student does not wish for an easy lesson. She wishes for wisdom equal to the teaching. The human being who wishes to evolve does not pray for a lighter load. They pray for a stronger back. And the last week of September is your training ground, your weight, your fire. Use it to build yourself. Think of the bamboo. It spends years growing its roots underground, unseen, unnoticed, under the pressure of the soil. For years, there is nothing visible, and many would think nothing is happening.